Hello again, everybody! That's it. That's all, because it's 5 o'clock right now, Central European Solar Time, and we are back for our final live streaming of the Investment Challenge, and I'm so happy and proud of being here again. Enrico from the Reply Challenges team. We are, as announced, together with many special guests. But first of all, let me thank everybody, all the players, all the 100 finalists that have played together with us on challenges.reply.com, because they have experience and actually closed a fantastic experience all together in playing for this final round on challenges.reply.com live on the same page. You can follow me, but it's not about me, of course, because it's about the fantastic panel of guests we have together. And so, yes, you can see them right now all together connected. Let me say that it's great to have this such a fantastic, colorful panel of people, all in home working, if I'm right, but we will ask them right now. Let me introduce you, our panel of guests, as you may already know, thanks to the communication we have shared. Gian Mossa, CEO at Banca Generali. Ciao Gian Maria, hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello.
Hi there. Together with you, representing Banca Generali, of course, we have Marco Giorgino, Senior Professor of Finance at MIP Politecnico di Milano. Hello, Marco.
Hi, Enrico. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello there, and thank you, of course, for your kind presence here and kind collaboration in the realization of this challenge. Together with us, Mr. Gianpaolo Bazzani, CEO at BG SAXO. Hello, Gianpaolo.
Hello, Enrico.
Hi there. Thank you for, as well, your collaboration and participation here at this final live streaming. And from Reply, Roberto Tognoni, Executive Partner at Reply, as well, of course. Ciao, Roberto.
Hi, ciao, Enrico. Hi to everybody.
Hello there. And my mate, let me say it, after 15 days of a great rush, Paolo Fabris, Partner at Avantage Reply and coach of the Titanium team. Ciao, Paolo.
Ciao, Enrico. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello there and welcome back. Thank you all, of course, of being here together with me, but I would say again, together with many people that are connecting right now on challenges.reply.com. We'll be live together with you for pretty much 1 hour, let me say, for this informal chat. But that was the kind of final greetings that we want to realize at the end of these amazing race we had together. We want to recap again that we started this investment challenge, at least with the promotional campaign on March the 2nd, by sharing in a massive social media campaign and in general live at universities, at least till the moment in which universities were still open, and we engaged thousands of people, and then 8,500 registered people that get in touch with us in order to play on challenges.reply.com and on the BG SAXO platform in order to shape this fantastic qualification round from March the 30 to April the 9, and then the best 100 players were selected in order to play today for the final round. As already say, the final is out, the game is over, because we ended this final round 3 minutes ago at 5 o'clock. And right now we can simply comment a bit the whole experience, the goal of it, the mission, together with the representatives and the delegates of such a big panel of partners, of course, of players that realized together with us, together with Reply, this first investment challenge. Let me say that we have to spend a couple of words about the final round, of course, as itself, but let me say it might be the right moment in which share with you some lesson learned. So the first person I like to talk with is Mr. Paolo Fabris, that has designed together with many repliers and many people. He coordinates a huge team of people in order to make it happen, to have the challenge live and working. Paolo, lesson learned at your side. What do we get at the end of this experience?
Well, Enrico, probably mainly the most important experience we had was that it was really, let's say, hard to cope with several and sometimes conflicting and different needs to be put together in order to get a challenge like this designed to properly work all over 2 weeks, because it was quite a long journey. We had to give strategic and methodological highlights and guidance to the guys. We had to provide inputs in order to, address, to steer several situations, and to provide at the same time, I would say, a common view or direction, even though I'd like to remember that the challenge was based entirely on market data. We didn't work on fake data, but it was provided together with the platform, with the BG SAXO platform, with market real data. So that was an important constraint and opportunity at the same time. We had to leave each participant free to act as its best. As it really happens in real life. So we didn't want to force one direction or the other. If you want to gamble, if you want to take some risk, you can do that, as you can do that in your real life, in your job, in your work experience. But you need to cope with the outcome of that. The main constraint, the main challenge was really having to try to, balance the risk and reward trade-off that is implicit in the trading activity when you are going to do this job in order to maximize your wealth, but without taking too much risk. And the balance is core. Remember also that this is meant as a formative event. So the participants had to learn something from all what we have seen. So that's one of the reasons why we introduced penalties in order to, force different tools, the adoption of different tools and situations. I would say that having done this in this peculiar situation had been a challenge by itself. You remember that when we designed this, we hoped that the market was not going to be too flat during the
that was a concern at the beginning. I would say that that was a great. We achieved it. That was a
yes.
Mission accomplished.
Probably that was not the way we wanted.
No, definitely no.
But however, we got some movements on the market. So let's say that volatility was, highly supported by the general situation. So a great experience that I hope different participants enjoyed as we did enjoy it while we were preparing it and living it with all the difficulties, of course, that implies, but it was a really great experience.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, of course. Paolo, let me add even this aspect, that is that at least for the replier's perspective, and of course even the other companies, but actually we can talk for ourselves, of course. It was such an engaging and different experience in designing a challenge in order to let the others entertain with us. That might be something that we can talk, of course, later together. We might be, you mentioned that, again, we were a bit afraid, concerned about the market situation once we designed this challenge a month ago. And I would say that we might be a bit afraid of programming a new one for the future, but that's it. We hope to not get in touch with such an emergency again. Let's be serious on that. We will be very happy in getting back to a normal situation as soon as possible. Even because, as you may know, and I'm referring to the players, the final round we had today was aimed at the beginning to be set on live at the Politecnico di Milano, and of course we had to change the plan due to the COVID-19 emergency, and that was a kind of way to have a final round anyhow. But we are definitely in love of meeting people live, and of course students and talented people in a real environment. Paolo, you mentioned the learning experience, and actually I mentioned the Politecnico di Milano, so let me introduce again Marco Giorgino, Senior Professor of Finance at MIT. Marco, we may spend a couple of words more regarding the learning experience, how to engage students in such a kind of I would say different way of learning. It might be innovative somehow, but even for sure it's different from the kind of experience you are used to.
Thank you, Enrico. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. It's a very important question. If you let me, I would like to spend some few words to thank Banca Generali and reply for this very amazing experience that as Politecnico di Milano we had the opportunity to live together. Answering your question, it's not so easy today to engage students, but we have to be able to understand what are the macro trends and to project a new way to make training and learning activities and to engage more students. And I think that the experience that we live together starting from March till today is a very, very important kind of experience that can show us what will be the path for the future. And I think the future is already now. So we have made a very interesting experience for three main reasons. And I think that training processes in the future must be in compliance with these three factors that we consider are very, very relevant. And I think our school, Politecnico, and also MIT as graduate school business of our Politecnico di Milano, since some years are already able to do this. And we had already put in place many training programs that are built on these three factors. Anyway, to engage students, three factors. First of all, we have to mix in a very efficient and effective way theoretical issues and practical occasions. It's very important to let students to put together these two factors, because we want to bring on the market people that are able not only to learn something, but also to do something. And so it's very important to mix together. I think that this experience is perfectly compliant with this, because people have the opportunity to make a game, to make a simulation, but in the same time, in a parallel way, to do what? To study, to look in deep about some topics and to put in place what they learned studying those topics. This is a very important factor for starting. A second factor that I think is very, very important, and it's what we live in the challenge, is the learning by doing. So not only theory and practice, not only theory and business cases, but also doing something. But I would like to underline, not only doing, but learning by doing, because students had the opportunity to make a simulation in a very, very critical phase of the financial markets, as you told before. Because we never could imagine what should have to happen in the last 2 months when we had the opportunity to project the simulation. And so they had the opportunity to learn by doing in a very special occasion, unfortunately, the turmoil that we are still living, but learning by doing. So studying and putting in place, making something, taking some decisions, and looking what were the facts coming from the decision. It's very important to understand the relationship that we have between a cause and an effect, a decision that we can take, and what are the results that can be coming from the decision that we're taking. A third important factor I think we have to consider more and more for the next activities is to learn doing what? Gaming. We see how today is very important to understand and to build a culture, also making something that can be similar to a game, but is not exactly a game. And we see how also our digital modules, for example, our school, are now very similar to what we have experienced through the challenge. And so the gaming solutions are something that can be very efficient for the learning objectives that we have to reach. And I think that answering your question, if we combine together these three factors, we could be able for the future to engage more the students and to give them a good level of service and to bring them on the market, on the job market, not only knowing, but also able to making something. And I think this could be the right combination. But I think, again, for concluding, that the future is now. So we are working on something that we will see, but we are also putting in place these kind of programs.
Thank you very much, Marco. You say it, and I completely agree, of course, for what it's worth, that the future is now. So we somehow, this emergency has actually speeding up the process of having, the future already nowadays in the way of learning and in shaping this experience again as a learning activity. We hope so. Actually, by monitoring the YouTube chat that we have live on challenges.reply.com, we are collecting many feedbacks and people, and I would say quite happy and enthusiastic of taking part in this experience. So we had just people saying thanks for the learning experience in general and for the exciting final day. They are even suggesting some kind of possible changes in the future. So to have the final round not only of one day, but more than one, so maybe again another week. Yes, of course, we'll take care of, since it's the first edition of this investment challenge, and as Paolo has said slightly before, we are collecting even some lessons that can help us in order to shape even a better edition next year. Why not? Again, so it will involve our next guest, that is Mr. Gian Mossa, CEO at Banca Generali. Hi, Gian Maria, again. And thank you, of course, from our side for the kind collaboration you together with all the other partners. That might be the wise moment, a good moment in order to ask you why in general an investment challenge. I would say that the Reply Challenges platform has hosted kind of experiences on coding, cybersecurity, creativity, so on. People will learn more about that. But in general, we started months ago, a lot of months, in order to talk about an investment challenge. Would you tell us something more about why this, why now, why it is a good opportunity?
Yeah. Again, good afternoon, everyone. Let's say that I would like to share with you some strategic thoughts to understand why we are so supportive to university, to students, is so a strong sponsor to this initiative. In Italy has been experiencing for the last years a deep crisis, economic crisis. And if you consider the impact of COVID, it will be even worse. And too often, if you think of the private wealth savings, have been considered just a sort of buffer to cover, let's say, public inefficiencies or public debt. I have a different view. I think that the private wealth can be a sort of remedy to this disease, to the economic crisis. And I try to explain why. First of all, as you know, the total wealth, the private wealth in Italy, is a multiple of the GDP, so the measure of the economy. And so if you increase the efficiency and how you manage and how you invest this money, you could have a direct positive impact on the economy through consumption and corporate investment. Just to give you an example, 1% of extra performance would imply an increase of 40 billion euro. So more than 2% of GDP. So we must focus on how manage better this money. And the second consideration is on the backbone of our country. If you think of the very small and medium enterprises, they have been suffering a lot for this economic downturn as well as for the banking crisis. And I'm sure that if you can help this private wealth to invest directly in these kind of companies, it would be a source of let's say, clean energy, a sort of booster, sustainable boost to the most powerful engine of our country. So we need professionals, we need new managers, we need a focus on these kind of priorities. So it seems easy, and so the question is, so what next? And I think we have to work on 3 different directions. The first one, we have to increase the financial education, and we have to help all the university students to understand the value of the private wealth, and that it's one business of the future, to leveraging this private wealth. The second topic is about the future. If you think of the future will be probably even more complex than today, with lower productivity, lower growth. So it means that we're gonna take more risk in the future. So risk will be even more crucial for strategic choices. And managing the risk, starting from the risk, mitigating risk, will be a very, very differentiating model and approach to make differences. The third topic is that both the public and the private institution should work together and push in the same direction. So private institutions, university, and so forth. And in this context, with this approach, I have to thank all the friends, Marco, Roberto, and so forth, for the support of these initiatives, because this is a concrete example of how top institutions are working together to give a concrete support in training experiences. And thanks to BG SAXO and the SAXO platform that represents one of the most advanced platforms worldwide, we can give a concrete experience, a real experience to the students, testing the real world. And it's a sort of leap in the future. And so it's a leap in the future for the manager of the future. It's so important to help students to understand the social function of saving, of investments, and how risk can make the difference. It's about professional of the future. So I'm very, very positive of these initiatives, and I'm very glad to receive positive, and I think it could be very useful also to receive negative feedback, to get better, to improve even, and go even farther.
Yes, of course, and thank you very much for your commitment, I would say, in realizing it. At the end, it's always a matter of make it happen. So then we design an idea at the beginning, then, as you know, even better than me, when you have to get things done, it's a matter of execution, and so try the best way in order to realize this experience. And since you mentioned it, Gianmaria, we'll be back even to you, because we are collecting questions from the chat board. I cannot, there are so many. We'll try to get a look at them, but then I would like to proceed in order to involve all our guests in this first loop of questions. Will be live. Again, it's 5 and 23 minutes Central European Solar Time, together with a fantastic panel of guests. We are highlighting somehow the end of this investment challenge held together with the Reply, Banca Generali, BG SAXO, and MIP Politecnico di Milano. So you mentioned, Gianmaria, the role of the BG SAXO platform, and in general of this learning experience. It's a kind of unique learning experience, even because we leverage on a unique platform that was not shaped, of course, as at the beginning for the scope of this initiative. So I would like again to welcome Mr. Gianpaolo Bazzani, CEO at BG SAXO. Hello, Gianpaolo.
Hello again, Enrico.
Hi there. Thank you again to you too for your kind collaboration in this long path, for being here today with us. What are, similarly, I would like to say, what are the lessons learned, and is there a particular thing that you want to share with us about the role of BG SAXO platform and the way it has been used right now for this perspective, but in general, overall, the kind of scope of the platform as itself?
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks to all people involved, all the players, and Banca Generali and Reply that set up this event. It's been a very nice experience. I'm very happy to be here. As BG SAXO, we have been delighted to offer a demo and therefore a simplified version of our professional trading platform with over 36,000 negotiable instruments. And I see that our 360-degree asset class coverage goes well with the holistic learning approach of MIP. Colleagues before myself mentioned risk, mentioned gambling, mentioned real. Okay, so this is, I hope this has been an interesting experience for all students, and hopefully the input to understand more about finance, about instruments, because just through knowledge you can manage, as Gian Maria mentioned before, you can be able to understand the risk and to manage the risk. This is really the future in our industry.
Thank you, of course. And I mean, I would like to say again that it was a challenge, an internal challenge, as they say at the beginning, to deliver this kind of challenge for the others by merging BG SAXO together with challengesreply.com. That was two different platforms that they have somehow to collaborate together in order to shape the experience for the participants. It was a great rush, even the first time for our side. I guess for yours too, right, Gianpaolo?
Yeah, I can confirm it.
So we have lesson learned together, of course. And we are more than happy of having done it together. Again, we are collecting questions on the chat on YouTube. I will share with you in a meanwhile. Then I have to, of course, we have to end the loop together with Roberto Tognoni, executive partner at Reply. Roberto, thank you to you, of course, as well for your collaboration here today and in general on realizing the investment challenge. Which kind of lessons, again, we'll learn together, but most of all, why a format as a challenge dedicated to the investment that is for those passionate about finance. We entitled the social media campaign. We find out a lot of people are passionate about finance. It might be a surprise at the beginning, but then we see that it's not.
Yeah. Actually, the numbers are quite incredible, over our most great expectations. But why a challenge? Because we love it. We started with challenges a few years ago. Challenges like codes or security challenges. And those events had a lot of success. And to be honest, those reply challenges has a wild success because we are really close to the success that challenges like the one performed by the likes of Google and Facebook. So we were very happy with those challenges. But we, as the community of the reply management consultants, we want to have a business challenge, and so we were looking for a challenge involving a business environment. And somehow, talking with Gian Maria, with Marco, with Gianpaolo, we came out with the opportunity to have it one on this very important topic, which is risk management in finance. And so we decided to try to work hard in order to be able to make the players play hard over those few weeks of the game. It was tough. It was the first business challenge for us. And I have to thank everybody. I have to thank SAXO for the platform, Banca, Generali, and Politecnico di Milano for the collaboration, and for the many insights and learning materials that they produced. I have to thank, first of all, the team, because remember that to run this challenge, we had a team of tens of people, of all the teams involved from Banca, Generali, from Politecnico, to work, design the challenge, set up the thing, and make it work throughout those weeks. So it was a very, very hard work, and I hope you all the guys involved had enjoyed the game. It was also important for us because it was a way to somehow spark our internal community, the community of the repliers who can work and play on these kind of challenges. I think that this is a great opportunity for them and for all the people that has been involved to to find out a new way of learning and of doing things. I agree with all the things that has been said before, but what I think more is that a way to go out of the situation that we are in now is to restart building stuff, building things. And of course, to build things, you have to have the knowledge to do that. You need to have the hard skills needed to build new stuff for the future. And the only way to build new stuff is to study, to learn, to share, to be passionate about what you're doing. And this game environment, I think, help to build those skills and those knowledge. And second, I'm saying building stuff, as Gian Maria said before, good finance is good for society. So if we are able to build good knowledge in the finance sector, those knowledge will be good for society. So that's the thing that is that I like and that I love of what we have done, and I hope will be the first one of a series of those kind of challenges, of those kind of initiatives.
We hope so, of course, and we are in love with the idea of it as itself, the challenges in general, and the way of transform this kind of these competitions, online competitions, in a way of learning. I want to again say that we are live at 32 minutes after 5, and we are collecting questions from the people attending these live streaming on challenges.reply.com. We have to say that an aspect that we haven't touched so far is that this is an international activity. It's true, we have many participation from Italy, of course, but then we keep, just to be crystal clear, we are talking in English because there are not all Italians here, and so we want to serve a kind of experience that is most international ever. They are telling me that I'm pronouncing in the wrong way again, the word again. I would say that I'm happy about it, because if it's the only word I'm pronouncing in the wrong way, that's fine. If they are just sharing with me the single and most uncommon mistake I can do. But anyhow, again, we want to stress this part. I would say that I can share it with you. Maybe Marco Giorgino from the Polyme might say something about the importance of being international, the English, how the borders are not even more existing in a kind of experience like this one. So is it something you want to add on as a layer, let me say, of the learning experience? Marco, you are on mute. Sorry, I have to ask you to unmute the mic.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
No problem.
I totally agree with you and with Roberto. I think those kind of questions today are not necessary, because we are forward, and for example, Politecnico di Milano has all its Master of Science programs that are only in English. And an important part of the activities of our school are in English. We had the first MBA just international in 2002, so I think it's quite unuseful to talk about this. I think it's important to go ahead, and in particular, we need not only to have programs in English, but we need to give really job opportunities on an international market.
Yes.
And so this is the very important challenge to reach. So I totally agree, but we have to work to go forward and to broaden our landscapes, and so to look not only in Italy but all around the world, as we are trying to do.
Yes, I would say to make it common sense in general for everybody. We are collecting questions again. I would like to share it with you. Please feel free to answer who might have it's not a quiz show, but if you want to be the first in answering, feel free, okay? That's the question from our friend Federico, is a student, I'm assuming, from LIUC. A question about the Italian wealth. Is private equity a new way to invest by the point of view of bank, such as Banca Generali? What about perspective of private debt in the future? That's the question shared live on the chat. It might be addressed to Gianmaria, of course, but then, again, feel free.
Yes. Thank you for the question, because I think that is one of the main priority for at least for our country, but I think also at the European level. I mean, we have to find a way to create alternative channel to finance small and medium enterprise and to give them the possibility to invest more. So capital, not only debt, but also capital. So probably private equity is for a different size of enterprise. Probably I'm talking more about venture capital, but players like Banca Generali are launching several initiatives to let it possible to let private clients to invest directly and indirectly in private debt, private equity, to say more venture capital, because it's only like in this way you can give liquidity to the system and to provide also better return to the private clients. Of course, you need a commitment from all the players because you need the regulatory framework should change a little bit. You should incentivize this kind of project and products. So probably also the government should do something to support these initiatives. And then, of course, you need what we're talking about the financial education, because when you invest in private debt, private equity, venture capital, you are introducing a new risk that is the liquid risk. So that it's a part of the story. So to cut a long story short, I think that it's the time now to use part of the private wealth to stimulate, to invest directly in the economy, so in the small and medium enterprises. And different vehicles and different solutions are the answer.
Thanks for answering. I guess that Federico has the answer he was looking for. Please, to all the hundreds of people that are connected with us, use the YouTube chat in order to share with such a unique and important panel a way of, you have this opportunity to share your questions. I might say that I don't want to waste your time, of course, and the time together. We have to mention something, the emergency, the kind of situation, unique and strange situation we are living in, of course, in an investment, finance, and economical point of view. Again, an open question for you guys connected. It will be not, of course, a kind of secret receipt, but in order to recovery, what are the key factors you would like to mention, the economical recovery that we have to face and we have to address in the next time? Who wants to talk first? It might be again a question for Gianmaria, but if you want to tell us something, guys, please feel free.
Let's say I can start and then I can
please,
give
yes.
the floor to the other colleagues. First of all, keeping in mind the priority is protecting our people, is to reopen the business line and the companies. Because they say that every day in the lockdown equals to minus blah 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 of GDP, and we are suffering a lot. So first of all, we have to keeping in mind that the safeguard of our people is the priority number one, we have to restart, reopen, and consider a different way to work, but again, start working again. This is, I think, the most important thing to me now.
Thank you, Gianmaria. I would say that I can involve other speakers.
Enrico, if
yes.
you want.
Yes, please, Roberto.
Of course, Gianmaria, you're right. First of all, it's the safety of the people has to be put in front. But let me give you something that I'm actually thinking about in those days, because it's about 2 months that we are in lockdown, at least in Lombardy, and so we start thinking to restart. I'm trying to putting together the things that we have to maybe have learned during this period. Well, first of all, those situations forced us, at least as a company that provides services, to rethink some things. And for example, just to give you a sense of hope, we have hired over these 2 months. We have been able to hire dozens of people, and we packed a PC, a telephone, a mobile phone, and with a SIM, and we send everything to their home and start working with them remotely. So we must keep the things going over this crisis, because what everybody's saying is that those crises are not over. So we must find a ways to keep working in this crisis. First of all. Second, I go back on what I was saying before. I think that we have to restart building. If you think that we have been in crisis because our hospitals weren't able to get ventilators or gloves, the things that you put on your mouth, it's crazy. I mean, we are in 2020 and we don't have mascherine. It's really crazy. So we have to start rebuild things also in here, close to us, and to rethink our thing. And that's an opportunity there. The third thing is that what we have learned in this period is that we can do a lot of things online, and that's independent of the age of the people or the wealth of the people. I mean, the grocery online e-commerce went up by dozens of percentage points, and that's something that is going to stay there, and it's implying reinventing a lot of sector, and so technology can be a part of this new world, and we must invest in technology more than we do, especially as a country. In Italy, this is especially true. And I mean, last things is that, I mean, we are hiring. We're still hiring, and so for all the people that it's there, we are here. We are looking for the brightest and for the passionate. We want to help restart the country, starting from the people who is there, who have played with us and learned with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Roberto, for pointing these out, even because the Challenges platform is actually even a way to, of course, to collect talents, and you can share with us your resume, guys, your CV, by uploading it on the platform in order to get in touch with the recruiting team and possibly, of course, get a job if you show your skills and talents. I would like to, we have a long messages, many questions on the platform, and then there is a very interesting one from our friend Nicolo. I can involve Gianpaolo again from BG SAXO, because he's saying something that I guess it's stimulating. I will read it. It's a bit long, but I try to recap the core part of it. He's saying that it's very important, the financial kind of learning that we have already mentioned during our call. And he's saying say, especially because trading is considered in general as an easy money opportunity. So the trading platforms must consider their educational responsibility, especially because trading is considered an easy money opportunity. And so again, yes, he's repeating the same thing, but actually that's the main part. Gianpaolo, is this something you are somehow taking in consideration, the kind of educational responsibility merged with the trading that is, there is a kind of equilibrium about the two things, a balance among those two things?
Well, it's an interesting point of view, and this guy is putting pressure on my shoulders because I want to be the trading guy here. I don't want to.
You have them large enough, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I keep my savings in Banca Generali, so I follow Gianmaria's view. But coming back to what Roberto mentioned, I try to link the concept of digital evolution because we can't mention revolution. It's time to evolve. I think that the digital experience and a trading platform is part of this digital experience is a new way to learn through experience. So I agree, but this was part of the inspiration of this trading challenge. Also the concept of hedging position. And this is my main point. If I can, I'm more than 50, so you have the right to share advice with young guys. The best suggestion I received in my life is at the same time the most synthetic one. You need to stay on the market. Okay, probably some of these students will work in Banca Generali or through Reply. They will support clients and corporates to cover financial risk, and this will be driven by math, will be driven by technology, will be driven by risk knowledge, risk appetite, and probably also psychology. And so the platform can be part of this big game. And also the chance to learn more about markets and instruments is extremely important. And the last mile could be to test our attitude to trade, because now we played hopefully an interesting game with fake money. But when you move to the real market, the real money, your mindset is completely different. So I hope also that the platform will be able for training ourselves in the financial industry.
Yes, thanks for sharing.
Yes, Enrico, if I can add a comment.
Please.
You scouted several trading platforms before asking SAXO to sign this partnership. And I think that SAXO is one of the few companies very focused on both sides of the coin. So how to perform and provide the best trading platform, as well as how to manage risk. And since risk is a capability that's so important, I think that this initiative should help students to understand that if you want to have a very, very important performance, you have to take a significant risk. And only starting managing the risk and mitigating the risk, or having in mind the risk contribution of what you are doing, you can be efficient and you can create value. Because for each point of extra performance, you have an extra risk that you are taking. So I think that SAXO in this logic is probably the most advanced platform, providing also how to manage the downside risk, only on top of investing to make money, of course.
Since you mentioned it, I was wondering what if you were back in your mid-20s, let me say. Will you participated at this kind of challenge, if possible, or would it be something interesting in your educational path? Paolo, you start, since you were the one designing it.
Yes, of course. I did something when I was in my mid-20s, and that was called at that time the Stanford Strategy Bank game. But what was lacking in that game was probably the connection with the real market. And having this together with, I would say, applied contents. So the learning material that we prepared was learning material not coming directly from the school text, but it was something designed and delivered by people who are every day working on the topic. And probably this is supporting the knowledge acquisition through the day-by-day experience that might be, let's say, brought only by people with the experience, as Gianpaolo said. So probably that, together with the understanding, it was fake money, for sure. It was real market. There are real prices out there. So you're competing for something. And of course, I totally agree with Gianpaolo when he says, remember, then real money is completely a different affair. I mean, you're facing it in a completely different way. But having something to fight for in the challenge probably will, let's say, add a few a kind of spice to the challenge. And probably the other takeaway should be that finance and trading, having a risk management attitude is not a game. I had the way of saying playing in finance. You're not playing. Money is a serious thing. You're working with your wealth, with other people's money. So be extremely careful because it's not a game.
Thanks for sharing, Paolo. We are actually not that many minutes till the end of our chat together. So another question appearing on the YouTube chat for Mr. Mossa. How is the financial outlook for the market according to your observatory? What kind of perspective? We have already mentioned somehow a kind of answer, but people wants to know. So that's the question I'm addressing you.
But they say that no one has the right answer. I can say that there are some simple rules that I would apply in this context. You take risk when you have a very, very high risk and high volatility in the market. Progressively, constantly, keep in mind the target you want to achieve in terms of risk exposure. And I would avoid a sort of herd behaviors that you sell on the bottom of the market. So I think that all the initiatives in terms of from say the central banks and the govies are in the right direction and will be supportive for the economic growth in the second half of the year. But of course, the damages will be significant. Just to give you a characteristic of this crisis, if you look at the month of March, and there was a very, very important dispersion of performance among stocks and sectors. Think of, for example, the price of Zoom or the price of Netflix, and compare with the price of the shale oil companies in US. And the same can be said for the sectors. So the message is that in such a complicated world, active portfolio management has been working pretty well compared to passive funds. And one element of disruption of this crisis is that the amount of tracking initiatives, passive, quantitative models has created higher volatility and some dislocation of capital. So first of all, an easy recipe to continue to diversify. Second, to invest progressively and gradually and constantly. You should have a method and you should have a target in mind. Third, don't act as the herd. So don't sell on when you see spike of volatility, and probably when you have the greatest volatility, it's the moment where you can take risk.
Yes, you even answered many questions appearing in which they are asking what was the strategy for your clients' portfolios in such a difficult time. I guess that somehow you have already expressed it. Okay, we have some few minutes if the participants wants to share some other questions. I have another one, again, might be open to all of you. What do you think about the current situation in the stock exchanges that have deeply fallen down? In your guess, in the near future, will those losses be recovered? We don't have the crystal ball, so it might be hard to answer, but maybe I can involve Marco Giorgino from Polyme. Is there anything you want to add, to point out on this aspect from your unique point of view?
I would like to make a couple of comments. The first one is related to the question that you mentioned just now about what will be the expectation for the stock markets, and we have to live with this high volatility for, I think, not a short period. And it's very difficult to operate today because, we have a lack of information. For example, we do not have a sufficient information about what are the guidances, for example, for the second quarter of the major companies that are listed on the market. So it's very difficult to understand what will be the price, what will be the value. So we expect for a phase that will not be so short in terms of high volatility. So it's important not only, again, coming back to real money or to what we were talking about before, we have to be able to improve competencies, yes, but we have also to be able to improve soft skills, to manage the panic, for example. So it's very important, especially for individuals, to be careful about what are the decisions to be taken on the market. Now, let me do a comment on what we said before.
Please.
We have talked about risk management. So despite of the fact we had a very important improvement in the risk management practices in the last 2 decades, today we are again facing a very important turmoil, not only in terms of financial turmoil, but also in terms of the general situation. So I think we have to improve more our risk management strategies and risk management practices. I would like to give an information to everybody. The global risk reports of the last 3 years, so 2018, 2019, 2017, never had in the first 5 risks to face a pandemic risk. They were focused more on climate change, on social challenges, on other risks, but not on pandemic risk. So it's important to consider since today that also what is very improbable can be possible. And so we have to include in our risk management strategies also some events with very low probability, but with the very high magnitude. And so this is the most important lesson that I learned from this situation. What is unexpected can be also possible. And so in our strategies, we have to include also some events that can be very, very important for our life. Then we have a lot of areas of improvement. For example, the combination between digital innovation and risk management is very impressive. Today, we have some tools and we have some opportunities that we hadn't in the past. For example, for the usage of big data or artificial intelligence in our risk management practices. So the frontier is really very interesting. And also in the financial institutions, where we have a lot of regulation, despite of the fact we have a very, very strict regulation, we have the opportunity to innovate. And the risk management practices are one of the most important areas where it's possible to make innovation.
Thank you, Marco. I'm trying to save the last minutes for these huge amount of questions we are collecting. We are kind of grilling the experts right now. I'm sharing with you the questions, and you can feel free again to answer whoever you want. Should we, question from our mate Alessandro, should we raise a post-crisis inflation concern due to the recent monetary expansion caused by quantitative easings and aid programs from central governments?
I don't believe.
Okay.
May I answer? Okay.
Yeah,
I
please.
don't believe.
Yeah.
I don't believe we have this kind of risk because we need a lot of money. We hope this money will be brought to the real economy and to make what is necessary to give support to companies. I do not think we will have a phase of increase of the inflation as we hadn't in the last 15 years. So I do not believe.
Okay, may we have other answers from the others in the panel?
Let's say that if we have to weigh the risk of pressure on prices or deflationary spiral, I would be more worried about the second option than on the first. I mean, some inflationary pressure would be probably even good for the economy in this moment.
Thank you, Gian Maria. If please, guys, feel free to complete the answer if you have comments to add. Okay, we are, of course, we may continue the discussion because the questions from our community of players are so many, and actually, of course, this is the unique opportunity they had. I would like to raise actually the awareness about that is not so common to get in touch with such a panel of important speakers, and we are proud of it. Of course, it might be even better to have a physical event. Right now it's impossible, and so we are taking it all digital. For sure, it's serving a lot of people all together connected with us. I don't have anything to add, actually. That's all, folks. I would like to thank very much all. Let me start from the players, okay? So they have spent a huge amount of time together with us in order to shape the investment challenge that it was from a Reply, Banca Generali, MIP, Politecnico di Milano, BG SAXO, but most of all, it was all because of you guys. 8,500 people registered and 100 finalists that have played together with us all together today. Thank you, of course, to the team of people in charge of realizing this challenge. So to all the repliers, the people at Banca Generali, all of them are in this virtual backstage, okay? We are here in the front, but if you see right or left, you'll see many people work together with us in order to, again, make it happen. So thank you all to all of you. It was an amazing race. It's not yet over, because of course we will have to evaluate the 100 documents that has to be sent to challenges.reply.com in order to finalize, to shape the final ranks and actually to decide the podium and the winners, the first, the second and the third of this investment challenge. Then let me say thanks to this panel of guests. Thank you very much, Paolo and Roberto from Reply, for this, again, amazing race. Thank you all, guys, for this. Thank you very much to our special guest, Marco Giorgino, Professor of Finance at MIP Politecnico di Milano. Thank you, Marco.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
For us as well, of course. Thank you, Gianpaolo Bazzani, CEO at BG SAXO. Thank you, Gianpaolo.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, and see you next time, hopefully, for another investment challenge together. Thank you very much to Gian Maria Mossa, CEO at Banca Generali. Thank you, Gian Maria.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure, and please give us feedback to improve.
Of course, I will stress this point. We will collect feedbacks from the huge community of people and players because we want to get better, and that's the only way to do it. So please share your feedbacks together with us. Thank you very much. You all, it's 6 o'clock, and that's all, folks. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, of course, and see you on challenges.reply.com for other challenges by Reply. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Thank you very much. Ciao, you all. Thank you. Ciao.